Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Zoe,
I'm Mark.
and we are the Board Adventurers. So for today's video, we're going to be doing a late to the game review of Doomlings. This is designed by Justice and Andrew Meyer and published by Doomlings.
Now, being upfront here, we got this game for review from Doomlings LLC, so we'd like to thank them for sending us a review copy.
Thanks, guys.
We're just going to go into the arc of this game. So what you're going to do first is you're going to give each one of the players. This game plays 2 to 6. You're going to give each of them a gene pool card. So it'll have the numbers 1 to 8 written on all sides of them. You're going to take the ages and you're going to create 3 stacks of 3. So you're going to take the ages and you're going to have 3, and then there's 2 other stacks. You're going to shuffle the catastrophes and deal 1 on top of each of the 3 stacks. Shuffle those separately, then stack them on top of each other. Then you're going to take the deck of trait cards, which are the greenbacks, and you're going to deal out 5 to each player. There's a card that starts every game. It's called the Birth of Life. That basically sets your gene pool to 5, and then you can play 1 card. So what does the turn structure look like? All you're really doing on your turn is you're taking a look at your 5 cards and you're going to play 1 from your hand. If there's an action on that card, you're going to perform that action if possible. All right. Then after you take the action, you're going to move it to the next person, and it's going to keep going. Once everyone has taken a turn, you're going to reveal the next age off the top of the deck. If that age is a catastrophe, you're going to take the catastrophic effect. Likely, it's also going to involve a gene pool decrease, and you're going to keep playing. Each of these ages have a different ability, so you could just read them as they are at the very bottom of the deck. They'll have effects such as you cannot play a red trait, you'll draw 2 cards on your turn. Going back to turn order, when you've played one of the cards from your hand, so let's say again I have 5 cards in my hand, I'll play a card, and then you're going to stabilize. So after you've performed the effect of the card, you're going to look at the cards in your hand. So say I have 4 because I've played 1. You're then going to stabilize to where your gene pool number is. So in the beginning of the game, you have 5, so you're going to draw back up to 5. If later in the game, let's say you adjust your gene pool to 7, you're going to draw up to 7. Or if you've adjusted it to 3 and you have 4 cards in your hand, you have to discard down to 3. Okay? You're going to keep playing turn round by round until the 3rd catastrophe is drawn. So once the 3rd catastrophe is drawn, you're going to take the World's End action at the very bottom of that card. After you've done that, there's going to be cards in your trait pile area, the ones you've played, that have World End conditions on them. You're going to then take that effect. At the end of the game, you're going to then score. So when you score, you're going to look at a couple things. You're going to look at cards that have victory points on the bottom left. You're going to add those up. There are cards that have a star symbol. Those star symbols have their own scoring ability based on the number of cards typically that are out, and also based on color. Then you also have end game scoring cards that have like a teardrop on them. You're going to add all those up, and then you're going to see who wins the game. If you end up tying at the end of this game, the game specifies that you're going to both take a card from the top of the deck, and then whoever has the highest face value of that card will win the game. With that being said, that is how you play Doomlings. What do you think?
Yeah, Doomlings is a game that is for a very specific type of board game group. And that's a group that loves a lot of player conflict and a lot of take that energy and a lot of just kind of playing cards to laugh and see what happens at the table.
Chaos.
Yeah, chaos is exactly the best way to put it. It's for a group that likes a lot of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, the group that we have likes chaos. So we've had some fun games with Doomlings.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some issues I do have with it. mainly how resolutions are solved. I'm not the biggest fan of just kind of like drawing a card from the deck and that's how you solve resolutions. I would like there to be something in the rule book for specific sort of instances to solve conflicts between rules and contradictions there. But for the most part, I think this is a decent game for people who love chaos and high player interaction. And for that, I think it works for what it's trying to do.
Right.
What about you?
I after playing this with multiple different people, with multiple different player counts, there's no consistent almost feeling of this game. Every game feels different. And that could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I like chaos in my games, but I like being able to mitigate that chaos, being able to control a little bit of that. In this game, it feels like I'm very subject to what I draw from my deck. And a lot of times in this game, especially like this is again, it's very situational, but you'll get maybe 2 rounds, 2 catastrophes into this game, and you haven't drawn a gene pool addition card.
Yeah.
You now have 3 in your gene pool, and someone plays a bad card.
Yeah.
The bad card makes you discard 2 cards randomly from your hand. That's a little heartbreaking because you don't stabilize, you don't draw back up until the end of your turn. So if someone can copy that ability, which again, this is situational, you're not going to have any cards to play on your hand. You would just have to stabilize. And that has happened in our games.
Yeah.
But there's some, crazy instances. Like one thing we haven't mentioned is that there's a dominant trait in these games. And the dominant traits, you can only play max of 2 unless you play a specific age card. You can never have a third one out.
Yeah.
You would think that there aren't that many dominant traits, but in a smaller player game, let's say like a 2 or 3, dominant traits can really muddy up your hand.
Yeah.
Very much. We're to a point where you cannot play anything unless you find a way to discard cards.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of these are very situational. Sometimes like you'll get those chaotic games where just cards are just shuffling back and forth between players. You're trading hands with other players.
Yeah. You can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
The best, most enjoyment out of it. You can't take it as like I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
It's more of like I'm just trying to enjoy the chaos.
That's a good point. That's the mindset you need going into this game, is that you are here just to have chaos.
Yeah.
Like you can't expect to try to have a strategy or win this game. You are subject very much to the cards that you have.
Yeah. And speaking too, that's another con that I have for it, really. It's like, I know you said that it's situational in terms of you get into a situation where you can't play a card. But I think the plays that we've had, happens way too often. Where someone kind of has a turn and go like, I can't play anything. And just have to pass. And that's happened a little too often for it unfortunately.
Yeah, sometimes it's like maybe... in one game that we had with a 4-player, the person that did have the most cards, we tried to shuffle, like they played the most into their trade pile. We tried to get them to not be able to play anything on their round. But it was very hard to do, and in a sense you had to play the right combination of cards.
Yeah, but if you go into this game kind of thinking it's like I'm just gonna go along for the ride, then you'll get the most enjoyment out of the game. If you go into the game and draw your hand and go like, I'm going to make my strategy for the game, then you're kind of going into this with the wrong perspective and you're going to be irritated with the game.
A lot of the times the cards you have in your hand will not be in your hand by your next turn. Just expect that to happen.
And you really want to just embrace the player interaction, the throwing out a card and really impacting the other players around you. And it's kind of having a laugh about it. If you have a group of gamers that are really like that, you'll get the most enjoyment out of this game, 100%.
Because like a lot of times, because you'll have the 5 colors too, right? There are powers that kind of synergize within each color.
Yeah.
And some even powers that synergize based on whatever's in your trade pile. There are ways of almost cascading your cards to get the most points, but getting those cards is like, there's only one type of that card in the game typically.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you get like the swarm or the kidney, whereas like you want to get as many of those, but it's hard to try to even fish for them if you want them.
And I guess playing a game that way might not even work, because like we've had a game where there was a bunch of swarms out and everyone just played cards to move the swarms all over the table and just kind of laugh
but those
about
swarms,
that,
if you can get like there's like 4 or 5 in the deck, if you can get 2 of them, that's a big, the other 2 are out there, swing. That's 8 points right there.
It's a big swing in this game. Yeah.
And like there's a card called Tiny in the game, the dominant. I played it wrong the first time we played because I thought it gave me the 17. And then I didn't realize what the power was.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was a -1, but it was during the game as opposed to being the end game. And then I realized at the end of the game, like, wait a minute, this is -1 for every card I've played.
Yeah.
I played 15 cards.
Yeah.
This is worth 2.
That card's a fun card. And that's one thing I do like about this game too, is like a lot of the abilities are fun. A lot of the abilities are unique and fun, and there are additional cards to this game that you can get to add to the trade deck and really add stuff to it. And I do like that. And even like the ages, they're fun as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them in this deck. Like this is the deck of just catastrophes. You only play with 3 of them, but you can have a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And some of them have pretty catastrophic effects. The last game we played, one of our friends had a bunch of green. The World's End effect was that every green you had was a negative point. That cost him the game.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
stuff like that.
But you can't expect it. You can't really expect that to be the card that comes out.
100%. As like we said before, if you're going with the right mindset, you'll have some fun with this game.
Yeah.
But in terms of buy, skip, play, where does this kind of rank for you?
Like I have had really fun plays of this game, and have had really bad plays of this game. It's been the spectrum. With that being said, I am right in the middle. I'm at a play. You got to see if this is your type of chaotic game. If you like the idea of mitigating your hand, if you like the idea of being in control for the entire game, you're not gonna like this game. You need to go in and just let kind of like fate decide for you. Like it's hard to say it that way, but if you really kind of buy into the theme of like, I'm just trying to play cards to kind of like sow chaos everywhere, like that'll be that kind of game. It's like, it's more for a raucous time than it is for like a heads down, head scratchy type of game.
Yeah.
And sometimes like that's where this game fits its niche, you know, because sometimes some people just want that kind of like crazy, like I'm gonna yell at you for doing that kind of game. And this is that game.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What about you?
For me, I'm on a play as well. Lean a little bit towards the skip, but I'm on the play firmly there. And part of it is at the first playthrough, I was like, oh, this is a party game. It's a straight up party game. And it's meant to be played. I feel like this works best in a party setting with family, large family, game night, playing like Mousetrap and those type of games and pull this out and kind of having fun with kids with it. I think that's the setting for this game, not at like a big game night in which you're playing, I don't know, Terraforming Mars. Between Terraforming Mars and Lisboa, this is not the game to put in between those. This is for like just a very specific group of people. I think it works with us that we fortunately have that group that would enjoy something like this.
Right.
But for me, this is a straight down to play.
Nice, yeah. All right, cool. That is our late to the game review of Doomlings. Let us know if you've played this game. Let us know if this is as chaotic as we're speaking of. We are the Board Adventurers. I'm Mark.
I'm Zoe.
We'll see you on the next adventure. Don't take my kidney.